We begin today the Gemara on Daf Nun Aleph, Amud Aleph, 4 lines down from the top of the Yamud. It said in the Mishnah, "V'loy le'isha b'nichse baila." A wife cannot establish a chazakah even if she's there in the property of her husband, using it for 3 years. Because regarding a wife, since the husband is obligated to feed her, so the fact that she's sitting and eating the fruits or the produce from his property doesn't prove that she bought it from him. It's just that she's eating it because he has to feed her. Fragt the Gemara, Pshita. This halacha is obvious. Kiven, the Islam mezayni, since she gets the food from her husband, mezaynu the ka'achla. When she's there in the property, eating from her husband's property, so it's clear that she's only there to get her food, not that she bought it from him. Answers the Gemara, Lo tzriche. No, we need what it says in the Mishnah only in the following case. The yichad la ara chrite lemezayna. Her husband designated for her a different field, where she's going to take the produce from there for her food. And nevertheless, now when she comes and is eating in this field, we say that maybe the husband doesn't mind that she gets extra because it's his wife, so therefore he's not makbid and she gets extra, so therefore he wasn't meiche. So the fact that she's eating there, it's still not going to be a chazakah, even though she already has her mezainis from somewhere else. Okay, now the Gemara is medayik on this, similar to what the Gemara discussed before. Ha raya yesh. What we see here is just by the fact that she's there for 3 years and that's going to be her proof that she bought it. She has no other proof. That's not going to be enough of a proof that she bought it. However, what's if she has a raya? She brings edim or a star that her husband sold her this property. Then that's good. Then that will be a good proof that she bought it. The question, however, on this is between a husband and wife. There's reason to believe that even if the husband actually sold it to her, that he didn't really mean to sell it. Why not? We shall say that the only reason the husband sold his property to his wife is because he was trying to expose, to uncover money of his that she had, that she was putting away, that she hid from him. And how did he get her to expose this money? By telling her, I'm going to sell you my property. And then she takes out the money to pay him for this property, and that's really money that's his. So the husband can say, from the Rashbam, it's mashma, there's 2 things the husband says here. Number 1, he says, the money she paid me for this property is not her money. It's my money. So she never really bought it from me. Second of all, I never really agreed to sell. The whole agreement to sell was just a ploy to get her to reveal that money of mine that she put away. So this is a svara that we see from other places, as the Gemara is going to bring, that a husband is not really serious in selling his property to his wife. So how does our Mishnah say, or we see from a Mishnah, that if she brings a raya that he sold her the property, that it's a good sale? So from this Mishnah we can learn out, a person sells a property to his wife, konsa, she acquires it, and we do not say this point that that he only was selling it because he was trying to reveal money of his that she put away. Says the Gemara, there's no raya from our Mishnah. I can say, ha raya yesh, that we say that if she brings proof that she bought it from him, that it's going to be a good proof, that's bishtar matana. Not in the case that she bought it from him actually with money, that she paid for it. Then we'll say that the husband only did this because he wanted to reveal that money of his that she's hiding. But if she brings a shtar matana, she didn't pay a penny for it. So you can't say that the motivation of the husband was to find the money. She brings a shtar that he gave it to her as a gift. That's going to be a good proof that he actually gave it to her. About this discussion here, whether a husband is serious when he sells to his wife or he's just trying to reveal money that she has of him. So Rav Nachman says to Rav Huna, the master was not with us last night in the Tchum. This is in the Bismedrish. In those times, they would build a Bismedrish by the Tchum outside of the city, or right outside the city, the Tchum of the city. We said a very good halacha, a very geshmak halacha. Amalei, so Rav Huna says, my milim al yiseh. What was this great point, this halacha that was taught last night? Amriso, he said, what they said was, this is the halacha that they taught, that a person, again, a person that sells a property to his wife, kansa, she does acquire it, and we're not going to say that the only purpose of him selling is because he wanted to reveal the hidden money that his wife has from him. That's the halacha that they said. Amalei, so Rav Huna said back about this halacha, pshita. It's obvious that this is the halacha. Why? Because dal zuzah mehacha Take away the money. Forget about the money that she paid for this. V'tikni b'shtara. Even if she didn't pay any money for this, but she acquires it with a shtar. The Gemara right now understands, Taisus explains that the pshat over here is that this is in a place that the derech was to write a shtar. We learned already before here in this perek, but derech klal, whenever a property is sold, it's sold with a shtar. So if that's the case, he says, forget about the money here. Why can't you say that she acquires it with the shtar? Mi loitnan, didn't we learn in the Mishnah, nechasim sheyesh la machrayis, properties, this is unlike movable items. A property, a karka is called nechasim sheyesh la machrayis, that you have responsibility over them, meaning that it can be used later to collect money from it, wherever it's not going anywhere. So this, a karka, niknin, bekesef, or b'shtar, or b'chazakeh. It can be acquired whether with kesef, or a shtar, or a chazakeh. So shtar is one of the ways to acquire this property. So if that's the case, in this case over here, forget about the money. Even if there was no money over here, but the fact that there was a shtar, she should be kind of this property just with the shtar itself. Now, Rashbam explains, in a case where the husband wrote a shtar, so over here you're not going to say that he only sold the property to her because he was trying to uncover the money that she hid. Even though l'chayra you could say that after all she paid as well for this, so he only did it to get the money from her. But no, once the husband is writing a shtar, he's not going to go so far to write a shtar if his whole purpose is just to get her to show the money. So why does he have to write a shtar for? Let him say to his wife, I'm selling you this property, she'll give him the money, and then she'll tell him, oh, this is my money. Eventually he'll say it to her. But the fact that he wrote a shtar, that means that he's serious with the sale. So therefore Rav Huna says, you're telling me that we're not going to say that he's trying to uncover the money? Without that, it's simple to understand that, because he wrote her a shtar, and that shows that he's serious about the sale. Oh, malay, so Rav Nachman says back to Rav Huna, but v'la vitmer alo. Didn't we learn about this? Oma Shmuel, that Shmuel said regarding acquiring a property with a shtar, lo yishanu ela b'shtar matana. When could you acquire a property with a shtar? By just writing a document that I sell this property to you? That's only if you're giving it as a gift. Avo b'shtar mecher, but if you're selling a property to someone, so then loikana, you do not acquire the property with writing the shtar ad sheyitin loidamel, until the buyer will pay for it, because we see that the seller is interested in selling, not in giving as a gift. So in such a case, just writing a shtar that I so-and-so sell it to you, it won't take effect, because we know that the das of the meicher is that he doesn't agree to sell until he gets the money. So therefore over here, you can't say that the husband wrote the shtar and then the kinyan takes effect just with the shtar. The shtar here really doesn't do anything. The shtar is not what makes the kinyan at all. The kinyan is just the money. So if that's the case, so over here we can still say this halacha, that there's a chiddush to say that when she buys it from her husband, that we don't say that he just did it to uncover his money that was in her possession. This is the halacha that Shmuel said. By any mecher, by a sale, a shtar does not work b'chlal for the kinyan of a karka. So the Gemara says, but didn't the Rav Hamnuna ask and refute Shmuel's halacha? Why? Because there's a brayso that says, or actually it's I think over there in the Mishnah in Kiddushin, it says, B'shtar keitzad, how is the kinyan of a shtar? So the Mishnah says, Kasav lo yalana yor, he wrote to the buyer on a piece of paper, or on a broken piece of earthenware, even if it's not worth even a pruta, and he wrote, Sadeh mechuralach, my field is sold to you, or Sadi Knuyalach, my field is acquired to you, or the Bachir's guide is not Knuya because it's basically the same like Mechura, but Nesunalach, it's given to you as a gift. Harezu Mechura Nesuna, it's sold and it's granted to you. So you see over here in this lashon of the Mishnah that a shtar could be used to acquire a property even when it's being bought, not just as a gift. How could Shmuel say that a shtar only works in a kinyan if it's for a gift, but when it's for a mecher, then the shtar is worthless? You have to give the money. Here it clearly says that it's a case of a mecher. So if so, the whole halacha of Shmuel is not even true. So there's no question from what Shmuel said. But the Gemara says in this, but v'lav hu meisav la v'hu mefarik la. Rav Hamnuna himself, which asked this question on Shmuel, he himself answered that there's no question from what the Mishnah says. And the reason is because there is a case where when you sell a property, even though you're selling and you want money, but the kinyan takes effect just with the shtar. And when is that? When a person is selling a property and we know that he's desperate to get rid of this property, it's a bad quality of a property, he doesn't want it, he wants to make sure that the buyer is making up his mind to buy it. So in such a case, even before he gets the payment for this, even before he gets his money, he wants the sale to go through. In such a case is where the Mishnah said that you can sell with the shtar itself. But otherwise, you can't sell with the shtar, because the shtar, a person wants the money. So the shtar doesn't work at all. So the Gemara brings another pshat to answer Shmuel, how it's what Shmuel said is not a contradiction to what the Mishnah says, that you could sell a property with a shtar. Ravashi Amar, Ravashi said, B'matone bikesh litnaloi, that in that Mishnah, when it uses the term mecher regarding a shtar, really it's not a sale. It's really a gift. Why is the person writing in the shtar the term of a mecher? It's only in order to give a bigger power to the recipient of this gift. When you write a term of mecher, so then that means that the one that's giving the gift is taking responsibility, that if anybody will confiscate it from you, I'll reimburse you. Usually that's only by a sale. And here, this is a gift where he writes a loshem mecher to give that koyach to the buyer, or to the recipient of the gift, really. So according to this pshat, when the Mishnah there says that mechuralach or nesunalach, it's really all one thing, it's really all a gift. It's just that the term mecher is just to enhance the power of the recipient. Okay, now the Gemara continues on this subject here to ask on this halacha that we said that when a person sells a property to his wife, the sale goes through. And we're not going to say that he just did this to try to expose money that his wife was keeping from him, that his wife was hiding from him. So the Gemara asks from what it says in the Braise, Meisvei, we learned in the Braise, Lova min eved, a master borrowed money from his slave, and then v'shichrei, after that he freed him. Or min isha, a husband borrows money from his wife, v'gersha, and then he divorces her. Ein lohen olav klum. They, that whether the slave or the wife that's now freed or divorced, they can't come and collect that loan from the master or the husband. Why not? The question is my time. Why not? He borrowed money from them. So don't you think the reason is mishum damrinam, when we see that he's borrowing money from his slave or from his wife, we say that he's not really borrowing their money. We say legluya zuzu the boy, that really he comes to his slave and he comes to his wife and he says, I need to borrow money. Doesn't have to borrow money from them. He's saying it in such language that they should be ready to give him that money because he knows that they took his money and they're hiding his money from him. So therefore, later when he divorces or frees the eved or the wife, is that they can't come and collect money from him. So we see over here this concept that a husband or a master, there's a very strong svara to say that the money is his. So the same thing should be regarding a sale of a karka, that when he sells a karka to his wife, we should say that it's really the husband just trying to get back his money. It's the derech for a wife to just keep the husband's money and put it away. And says the Gemara, no, that case is different. Shani Hassam, in a case where a person is borrowing money from his slave or from his wife, a person would not naturally want to put himself in a position that he should be a eved, loive, leish, malva. This is a pasuk that says that a person that borrows money from someone, you're like enslaving yourself to that person that you borrowed the money from. So a master or a husband does not want to be like a slave to his slave, or a husband to be enslaved to his wife. So dafka legabi borrowing money, do we say that it's clear that that's really what's happening over here is he's just trying to get money of his that his slave or his wife has for him, but not by a sale. By a sale, when a person is buying or selling, that is, a property to his wife, over there's no svara of eved loiv lishmalva. Over here we say that the sale is real and serious and the sale takes effect. The Gemara brings other Amirayim that talk about this halacha. Shalach Rav Huna bar Ravin. Rav Huna bar Ravin sent to teach the following halacha regarding this case. A person sells a property to his wife. Kansa. She acquires it. We say that it's a real sale. But ubal oichel peiris. The husband, though, has the right, even after he sold the property to his wife, he can still continue eating from the produce of this field that he sold to her. It's no different than any other nichsei melug that is owned by his wife, that the husband is the one that eats the peiris. Beram, however, Rababe Rabavo, B'chol Gedolei Adoir Amru, Rababe, Rabavo, and all the great people in the generation, they disagreed, and they said, B'matone bikesh litnila, that when he's selling it to her, so really it's not a sale. He wants to give it to her as a gift. V'loma kosav lo l'shum mecher. Why is he writing in a shtar? Why is he saying that he's selling it? It's only kedei liyapis es keicha. It's as we said before. Sometimes the person that gives a gift writes in a shtar that he's selling it just to empower the recipient, that even if there'll be any problems with it, I'll take care of it for you. And over here, in this case, Rashbam explains, we'll see soon in the Gemara here, that when a person sells a karka to his wife, then you could say that he sold it with the understanding that he still can eat the paytas from the karka. But when he gives his wife a gift, this karka, so then he's giving it to her fully. He's giving it to the klal is a kol noisin ba'ayin yofen noisin. He's giving it to her fully, that he's now not going to be allowed to eat the paytas at all from this karka. Okay, the Taisus here has a different gersa in this Gemara. Taisus takes out the word beram on the first line of the page. Beram means but, which means that Rabavo was coming to argue on what it said before. Taisus takes that out. And instead of the words in the Gemara, Kedeliapis is koicha, Taisus' gersa is Kedeliapis is koichoi. And really, Rabavo, and Kol Gedeli Adur are not arguing on the statement before. They're just coming to say the exact same thing. That when a person is selling to his wife, he's doing it in such a way, and he's writing in it, even if he's giving it as a gift, he writes in it a lashon of mecher, that it should be clear that he should still have the power to eat, or the rights to eat the fruits from this karka that he's selling to his wife. So again, the Gemara asks from the same brayso that we asked before. We see over here that these Amiroim held that when you sell a property to your wife, the sale takes effect. So the Gemara again asks from the brayso, Meisvei lovim menaved b'shichrei. A person borrowed money from a slave and then he freed a slave. Mena Ishay borrowed money from his wife, a Gershan, he divorced her. Ein lehen olav klum, they can't come to collect their loan from him. My timer, what's the reason? Lav, don't you think the reason is? Mishum da Amri, liglu yazuzi hu debay. The master or the husband say that we didn't really borrow money from the slave or the wife. We were just trying to expose money that they had from us that they were keeping. So why shouldn't we say the same thing regarding a sale, that it's not a serious sale? The husband was just trying to find money that his wife was keeping from him. The answer is, as we said before, Shani Hasam Lishvi Inish Eved Leish Malva. That by a loan is different. There we say a person would not borrow money from his wife, or a master wouldn't borrow money from a slave. He doesn't want to be enslaved to his wife or a slave. But by a sale, we don't say that. The sale does take effect. Other Amiram that spoke about this, Omar Rav, a person sells a property to his wife, Konsa, she acquires it, but the husband, after the sale, still has the right to eat the paytas from this karka. However, if he gives it to her as a gift, Konsa, she acquires it, and the husband cannot eat any of the fruits of it, as I explained before, that it's totally hers, even the paytas. Rabbi Elazar says, in both cases, whether he sells it to her or whether he gives it to her as a gift, Konsa, she acquires it, and the husband cannot eat any paytas. It's not like a regular kind of nichse malug that she inherited from her father and now has it, and the husband eats the paytas from it. If the husband is selling it or giving it to her, he gives it to her totally, and the husband cannot eat any of the produce of this property. Rav Chisda, in practice, so he paskined like Rabbi Elazar, that whether the husband sells or gives, either way, that the husband cannot eat any of the paytas. So Amrulei, Rav Ukva, Rav Nechemye, Bnei, Benate de Rav. So Rav Ukva and Rav Nechemye, which were the grandchildren, the sons of the daughter of Rav, they said to them, what was it over here? They said to Rav Chisda, Shavik Ma Rav Revi. The master is leaving the opinion of the great one, which was their grandfather, Rav. Va'avad Kezutri, and you're following the opinion of Rabbi Elazar, which was a smaller, in other words, he was a generation later. Rabbi Elazar was a student of Rabbi Yechanan, which, in other words, he was a generation later than Rav, and you're following what Rabbi Elazar said. Amalei, so Rav Chisda said, Va'ano, or the Vav is taken out here, Ano Nami Kirav Revi Avdi. I'm also doing like the opinion of a great individual. Why? Because when Ravin came from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, Omar, Rabbi Yechanan, he said in the name of Rabbi Yechanan, like what Rabbi Elazar said. Rabbi Elazar was actually a student of Rabbi Yechanan. That echad zeh, ve'echad zeh, konsa, that whether the husband sells to his wife the property or whether he gives it to her as a gift, she acquires it, ve'en abal echel peris. And the husband cannot eat any of the produce of this property. Omar Rabbi says, Hilchaseh, the final halach is, Hamoy chesad le'ishtoi, a person sells a property to his wife, loy konsa, she does not acquire it, actually. V'habal oichel peiris, and the husband eats the produce. The Gemara is going to explain this in a second. B'matane, if he gives the property to his wife as a gift, konsa, so as a gift, she will acquire it. Ve'en habal oichel peiris, and the husband cannot eat peiris. So the Gemara asks on the first part of the statement of Rava, Tarti, Rava seems to be saying 2 points that are contradicting each other. If you say that loy konsa, that if he sells this property to his wife, she doesn't acquire it, how could you say right afterwards that the Baal eats peiris? It's his. He doesn't just eat peiris, it's his property. When you say afterwards, Baal echel peiris, that means that the kinyan does take effect. It's just that he has peiris. So there's a contradiction here. And says the Gemara, loy kasha. There's no contradiction based on the whole discussion we had before. We can say as follows. Kan b'mois tmunin. If it's a case where there's money that the wife had from the husband and she hid that money and he was trying to expose this money, then we say that the sale does not take effect because he was only selling it to her because he wanted to get her to take out that money. Kan b'mois shein tmunin. But if his wife has his money, but she's not hiding it from him, it's exposed. The husband knows where that money is. So he can't say that I was selling it because I was trying to find my money. He sees the money. In such a case, then the sale will take effect, and then he only eats the paytis of it. Rav Yehuda said, Mois tmunin, if the wife has money from the husband that she's hiding, then loikansa, when he sells her a field, it's not sold, he was just trying to get that money. Mois she'enet tmunin, if the wife has money of the husband, which is open, the husband knows where it is, then kansa. Then if he sells her the field, then the sale takes effect.
If she